feelings. You will find out how such a situation can end up from this story. Melina Salazar was working in a small roadside cafe in Brownsville, Texas. She grew up in the place, later graduated from college, and then decided to return home. Having started working in this cafe many years ago, she was no longer able to leave it. The girl was very fond of her work and her guests who came to dine with their whole families or just jumping in for a small snack. For her, absolutely every guest was valuable and important. But as usual, there was one among all the guests who stood out from the crowd. This visitor was a short old man named Walter Sword. For the past 16 years, he visited this cafe every day, always sat at the same place, and waited for Melina to come up to him with a menu. Walter Sword wasn't a good-natured old man, as many might have thought, who was always leaving large tips. On the contrary, all the staff called him a Scrooge. He was constantly dissatisfied with something. Either the coffee was cold, the omelet was overcooked, or even the oil had a wrong color. And that's how it was during each of his visits. Naturally, the waitresses couldn't handle all the attacks of Mr. Sword, so they refused to serve him, and only Melina somehow could calmly endure all the complaints of the grumbling old man. The girl responded to the displeased face with a dazzling smile and always asked about his health, and in response, as usual, she heard the same rude answer. "You won't get it. Why do you care? Why are you asking?" All employees of the cafe claimed that the old man was simply unbearable and no one wanted to serve or even greet him. Many asked Melina why she tolerated him, but the girl continued to serve the old man with a smile. She wasn't offended and even understood that all the grunt was due to the fact that Walter was a lonely person and he just required a little attention. As the town was very small, she also knew that this old man was a war veteran who had been living without children and his wife for a long time. Therefore, in spite of his attacks, she always smiled and continued to speak to him, knowing what answer would follow after her words. But once, it happened that Walter Sword stopped coming to the cafe. Melina began to worry if the old man was doing well. Several days passed, but the regular customer never appeared again. The employees of the cafe were just making fun of him, saying that at that moment this guy was probably getting on other people's nerves. But the girl worried about this old man very much. Fearing the worst, Melina began to look through the obituary section in a local newspaper and found what she was so afraid of finding. In the section, she read that in the 89th year of his life, Walter Sword died at home while sleeping a few days ago. As the girl herself said, "I really felt sorry for the old man, although he was grouchy and always dissatisfied. But no matter how strange it may sound, I became attached to him. And when I heard about the death, I started to feel very sad and empty." That's how the story of this strange 16-year relationship between two unfamiliar people could have ended, if not for the events which happened shortly after that. The day after Melina had learned this sad news, a reminder of the old greedy man appeared. It happened like this. At noon, a new visitor entered the cafe who immediately attracted everyone's attention. Nobody had seen him there before. He was in a classic suit, which you could rarely see in this cafe, but it was interesting that the stranger was not going to order anything. He was looking for Melina Salazar for important business. The girl wondered who this man was and why he needed to talk to her. For a second, the woman even thought the worst. The man started with the fact that he was the lawyer of Walter Sword and arrived here to announce the last will of the deceased. Of course, Melina couldn't understand why she was somehow connected with that. Then the lawyer asked the girl to sit down and explain that just a few days before the tragedy, the old man called him and announced that all the money that he had, and that was more than $50,000, his favorite car, which no one was allowed to touch, and his house, he would like to bequeath to the one who had endured him for many years, and she was the only person who made him happy. It was a gratitude for her kindness despite his bad temper. It turned out that all these years, Sword went to the cafe just because of her. She was the only one who could understand him and calmly endured his grunts. He couldn't behave differently because he was this kind of person. When the girl heard all of this, she burst into tears. After all, having been showing kindness to this old man, she didn't even hope to get something in return. She just wanted to make his day a bit better. Well, this story serves as a reminder once again that only kindness and love can change cold hearts. And if we show these qualities to other people, we will get more in return.
Go for the new Go 90 with bigger data for all sites.
Hello, friend. In this video, I would like to tell you a story that happened in Russia to a taxi driver. In general, taxi drivers have great stories because every day they come across people and you can expect anything from people. It was a late Thursday night. It was almost midnight. A taxi driver receives one last order from a pharmacy. The cost of the trip is 105 rubles, or something around $1.50. It's about a 2-mile trip. Here's the driver telling the story. A young, pretty woman, a pharmacist from the nearby pharmacy, got into the car. The woman turned out to be taciturn, and I did not ask her anything. And also, I wanted to be home sooner. When we got to the destination, the woman gave me a banknote of 5,000 rubles. It's about $75. I had a slight shock. Where can I find change for a 5,000 banknote in the middle of the night? I asked her if she had smaller banknotes. The woman shook her head negatively. It was urgent to do something. Why did you not say that you have only this banknote? I tried to speak to the passenger very politely. This is your problem, the woman answered coldly. And where can I change it now? Either you find change or I will not pay, my passenger said firmly. There was nothing I could do. I had to go and look for a place to change money in the middle of the night. So we spent another 15 minutes together. After such a search for exchange, I hardly found the change. As a result, the change was 4,900 rubles. But the woman was angry again and said that she did not need other people's money. She wanted the change to be exactly 4,895 rubles. I had to go further with her and continue looking for the exchange. My iron patience was gradually approaching zero. Passing the nearest places, we had not found where to exchange. As a result, instead of 7 minutes, the order took more than half an hour. That night, I thought that I would never see this woman again. But oh, how I was mistaken. I had the next day off. I was sleeping soundly after my night work shift. When I got up, I got a message that yesterday I was rude to that very passenger. I did not give her the change, and that polite lady advised to fire me for lawlessness. Well, that is her right. On the one hand, she is right. If you give money, you get the change. But on the other hand, why couldn't she say that she didn't have any small banknotes from the very beginning? I also lost both time and money. Thinking over the situation, I came to the conclusion that I needed to teach the meticulous lady a little lesson. I am not in favor of taking revenge, especially for women, but it was not only her rude behavior that day, it was also because she made me nervous. Revenge is a dish best served cold, and I agree with that. You need to think carefully before you have your revenge. I found out that my passenger worked in the pharmacy 2 days after 2. On Friday and Saturday, she was not there, but on Sunday, she would come in. And on Sunday morning, I bought vitamin C in the pharmacy for 12 rubles and 73 kopikas, which is about 19 cents, and paid with a 5,000 banknote, is about $75. She was indignant for a long time, but still, she gave the exact change. I did not stop there. I really wanted this woman to feel everything that I felt. On Monday, I came to the familiar pharmacy again and bought vitamin C again, but that time I paid with a banknote of 1,000 rubles. It is about $15. The woman did not expect such an action from me, and she was very angry with me. Soon it grew into a scandal, but in the end, she refused to serve me at all. As an honest man, I called her boss and described the situation. Soon, the pharmacist was looking for the change for me. The idea of this story is that everything returns as a boomerang, and you should not be picky. Not everyone has rich parents or a great fortune, but almost everyone can buy everything necessary for life: food, clothes, ticket for public transport, things for your pastime activities and hobbies, buying everything you need, whether it is ski equipment or new bicycle wheels. Sometimes everything is not so optimistic, and there is not enough money even for the most important things. The Bailey family is such an example. The family has only one son named DeMarco. The boy's parents gave him as much love and care as they could, trying to compensate for the lack of money. The boy was grateful to his parents for their kindness and tried to live like all other children, although at school they often laughed at him because of his old clothes. The only class he didn't worry about his appearance in was physical education, and it is not surprising as all boys usually enjoy this class. Thanks to his teacher, DeMarco became passionate for football and even wanted to create his own team in his second year. But due to lack of money in his family, he could not afford to buy even the minimum equipment for training. Nowadays,